Hello everyone, this video is going to show you how to write the thesis statement for your purple hibiscus essay. The big question a lot of people have been asking me is when is it due? It is due May 1st, okay? I'm giving you 3 weeks at this point, like 2.5 to work on it. So yeah, I'm not asking you to write it the second. We're breaking it down into pieces. Now, this document that I'm working on, you all have a copy of this under weeks 4 through 6 lessons, under week 4 in classroom. So I'm going to show you how to use this document. Your first lesson was to do your vocabulary review. Your second lesson is thesis statements, okay? So to get to that lesson directly, you can scroll or you can just click, and it says bookmark, and you go down to the bookmark. Okay, so lesson 2, writing your thesis. Now, before we start that, let's just go back and look at the topic again. All right, topic. Choose a character from the Achiki family, that's Kambili's last name, Mama, Papa, Jaja, or Kambili, and explain how they change or remain the same throughout the course of the novel by examining their public and private personas, meaning how do they act at school, at church, how do they act at home, and how they interact with the other characters in the novel. You will analyze how the character connects to one of the major themes of the novel. All right, so that's our topic. Our thesis statement, if you remember from the vocabulary review, it's answering the question in one sentence, okay? So we're going to answer that question, picking a character, how do they change, what does that tell us about a theme? We're going to answer that in one sentence. So let's go back down to lesson 2. Okay, so which character will you write about? You guys can choose between the 4 main characters, but for me, because this is an example and I don't want anyone to copy it directly, I'm going to write about Amaka. You are not allowed to write about Amaka. That's me writing about Amaka because that's my example. Okay, so I'm writing about Amaka. You don't have to highlight it. I'm just doing it so you guys can see it. Now, a note, it may be easy to stick with the character from your class, but you don't have to. This isn't group, this is individual. But if you're like, you got a lot of quotes and thought a lot about Jaja when you did the collage, stick with Jaja, right? Hi. So the thesis statement. For this essay, your thesis will explain how your character changed and what lesson the reader learns from this transformation. So I gave you a thesis starter. What that means is a template that you can use to write your thesis. So once you have your character, just erase this insert character and put your character's name. All right, so it says in the novel. Now, the reason I didn't put the novel's name is because this sentence is going to go in my introduction, and I probably should have in my very first sentence in my introduction named Purple Hibiscus, so I don't want to keep saying Purple Hibiscus, so I'm just going to say in the novel. Amaka changes from blank to blank, revealing the theme. Now, let's start with how she changes. So I'm going to think about when I first met Amaka, how would I describe her? Well, she seems like really rude to Kambili. She seems to want nothing to do with Kambili. She's kind of like stays away from her. And a good word for that is standoffish. That's actually a word. If you can't think of a good word, go to the thesaurus, come up with a basic word, find a better one, okay? You can also, once you have your word, you can highlight, right-click it, go to define, and then here it gives me other words, synonyms, aloof, distant, remote, detached, impersonal. So if I could have just come up with like distant, she was distant. Maybe I'm like, that word's too basic. I want to come up with something else. In fact, I actually like the word aloof maybe better than standoffish, so I'm going to change it. All right. Amaka changes from aloof to, and so now I'm going to think about at the end of the novel, what is Amaka like? Well, she has finally realized that Kambili is not the snobby, rich just person who is just kind of strange. She's realized that Kambili has an internal struggle, has lots of things going on. So a good word for someone who has put themselves in someone else's shoes, and who has, started to understand someone could be empathetic. Okay, she changes from aloof to empathetic. Another word is also compassionate, like she cares about others, she cares about Kambili, either one of those. But notice I'm trying to use like bigger words than maybe I would use in everyday speech because this is an essay and I want it to sound good and I don't want to be using the same words as everyone else. So that's why I suggest using a thesaurus, looking up synonyms. All right. In the novel, Amaka changes from aloof to empathetic, revealing the theme. So this is where it gets a little harder. I have to think about how Amaka's change teaches the reader a lesson. What am I learning from Amaka changing in this way? So I'm going to erase the stuff I'm not using. Wasn't going to use that one. All right, so now there's some examples I've given you. You can read over those to see if they help. I already have written a thesis statement about Amaka, but I'm writing another one right now. It's different, okay? And then I have an example from Student Java. So you can read those on your own time. I'm going to scroll down to these notes that I've given you on what a theme is, okay? So what is a theme? What are some themes of the novel? Basically, what am I going to put in this part right here? What goes here? Okay, so what is a theme? A theme is a message or lesson that the novel is trying to teach the reader. All right, so a message or lesson that the novel is trying to teach the reader. To find the theme, start with some of the topics the novel covers. So we start with a topic. What are some of the big things that this book is about? Like big, broad. Think about the introduction. From your notes, I said it's kind of like a triangle. It goes from broad to specific. So the same thing happens when we write a theme. We start broad and then we get specific. Some of the big things in this book: freedom, family, religion, tolerance, respect, tradition, independence, growing up. Oh, why'd that get so small? Abuse, gender roles, single stories, aka stereotypes. All right, so if I'm thinking about Amaka and her change from aloof to compassionate. So she didn't like Cambili at first because she thought Cambili was just rich and had a really easy life. So which one of these connects to this idea of like not liking someone because you think you know something about them, but then you realize there's more to them? I mean, they're family, so that could work. Tolerance, maybe respect. Okay. You know what, though? I really think that, like, what was happening, the problem between them at first is that Amaka just kind of had stereotypes Cambili as this, oh, you poor little rich girl. Oh my gosh, your life's so hard. You're so rich. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I think that Cambili and Amaka's problem was Amaka thought of Cambili as this rich girl stereotype. Okay. So what I could do now is, now that I know I'm going to talk about stereotype, I could come up here and try to write something about stereotypes, revealing the theme. And now I'm going to write a theme about stereotypes. Like, what is the book telling me about stereotypes? So I could just try to do that here. Revealing the theme, stereotypes. Okay. So let me just think about this. So stereotypes. What do we learn about stereotypes from Amaka and Cambili? Well, we learn that stereotypes aren't always true. That there's more to people. People are deeper than just a stereotype or a single story. Revealing the theme that believing a stereotype prevents people from truly knowing and caring for each other. Okay, let me read this back over. In the novel, Amaka changes from aloof to empathetic, revealing the theme that believing in, maybe instead of a stereotype, believing in stereotypes prevents people from truly knowing and caring for each other. Okay, this works. This works for me because I do think that's a lesson from the book that we learn. All the people who saw Cambili as just a stereotype, they didn't realize what was wrong with her. You know, can't believe these actions and all of her struggles were caused by Papa's abuse, but all these people who are just like, you're a snob, you're a poor little rich girl. They didn't care about her. They never really got to know her. So I like that. Let me see. Okay, so that's one way to go about it. Another way to go about it is what I did for you guys. Those of you who are like, whoa, Miss Klein, like, I don't even know how you just did that. I don't know how you took a topic and made it a theme. I have down here, these are themes, okay? Where it says message and Miss Klein's words, these are all themes. So I took those topics and I put a theme for each one. Now, is that the only theme? No, but I put that there for those of you who are like, I can't do this. So I could look down and I could see, okay, what did Miss Klein say in her words? She said, believing a single story about a person will always lead to misunderstandings. Single stories are dangerous because they reduce people to stereotypes. Okay, so I could think about that and say, all right, I really like this. I'm going to put it in my own words and I'm going to use that as my theme. So, okay, believing a single story about a person will always lead to misunderstandings. Well, I know single story and stereotype are synonyms, so I can say, I'm putting this in my own words, believing in, spelling. See that red squiggly line? I'm often amazed by how many of you turn in work with red squiggly lines. If you don't have spell check on, I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Check your spelling. Believing in stereotypes. That one's perfect. Believing in stereotypes causes people to misunderstand each other. Okay, if I'm like, this really sounds too much like Mrs. Klein's, I don't know, go to define misunderstand, look and see offer me any synonyms. Conceive, mistake, misread, misinterpret. Ooh, misinterpret's good. Okay. Causes people to misinterpret each other. Yeah, I think I like it. All right, so now that I've done that, I can take this back up to where I was writing my thesis. So what I had was believing in stereotypes prevents people from truly knowing and caring for each other. What I just wrote is believing in stereotypes causes people to misinterpret each other. Think about which one I like best. Okay, maybe I like this one best. Voila, I have a thesis. Now, maybe I'm not sure which one's better. And I actually like both of them. Well, your assignment that you're supposed to turn in on Friday is to post a thesis statement. So what you could do, if you have a couple of ideas, is you could post both. You could post both and be like, hey guys, I have two thesis statements. Which ones do you like better? Okay. So what am I talking about posting your thesis? Well, what I'm talking about is when you have it on this document, and I don't really care where you write it on this document. This is just kind of like a worksheet for you. You can copy it. And let's go to Classroom. Classroom. So many tabs, guys. So many tabs. So many windows. Classroom. Okay, week 4 distance learning. So here it is. What is your thesis statement for purple hibiscus? All right, so it's a question, you question. Now, obviously, my screen looks different than yours because I'm not a student. So, but you can go to where it says question. What is your thesis statement from your purple hibiscus essay? Explain how your character changes and what lesson their change reveals. All right, so I could make a comment. Let me just, so I could put it here. So if you're in 4A, you're going to see this. I'm just going to put here that it's my example. This class example. All right, so I'll put it there. I'll put those two here. And then I'll hit submit. So I could say, I'm going to ask the question that I said you guys could ask. Like, which one do you like better? Okay, and then I'm making a class comment. Boom. Now Now yours will be different because obviously you're turning this in as your assignment. So what's going to happen is you'll post your thesis statement, then other people can see it. I would like you guys to maybe look over some other people's, make a comment if you think. And then I will respond to everyone's thesis statement, give you guys feedback this way, so that next week when we write the introduction and really start writing the essay, you have a thesis and you have feedback from me. All right. So hopefully that answered your questions. Let me go back to my document and make sure I did everything on here, explained every part of the thesis lesson. Yep, down here there's just a couple of other examples, like the word changes. Instead of that, here are some synonyms for changes. Instead of the word revealing, here are some synonyms for that, not synonyms. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so there you go. There's some examples. Zooms on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm going to go over this again, probably come up with a different example. And yeah, so I will share this version of the document. I'll put this in my YouTube comments. I'm just going to erase everything that's not from this. So I will put this in the comments of my video. So if you want to come back to this and see what I actually wrote, you can. If you have any questions, please email me, join a Zoom, classroom, all of that. I hope this was helpful.